Welcome, everyone, to the Insurance Perspective podcast. I'm your guest host today, Ciara Gravier from the Bunker Insurance and Risk Management, and I'm super excited today to be joined by my somewhat recent friend, but it feels like it's already been a little longer, Tinsley English. She is an operations executive at one of the large insurance brokerages in the country. Tinsley is a recognized expert in female leadership development, dynamic keynote speaker, and author renowned for her transformative G-Force Code system. With over a decade devoted to coaching high performing women, Tinsley's direct approach enables her to swiftly identify obstacles and unveil hidden strengths, fostering authentic leadership through grit, growth, and gumption. Armed with over 20 years of experience in the insurance industry, she seamlessly blends profound knowledge with practical insights. Tinsley, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Ciara, I am thrilled to be with you. And it's so funny because we all live in this LinkedIn world. And so it's not like I've met you in person, but I already feel like I know
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And so this is just like us having a cup of coffee. And I'm so excited to be here today.
If we lived near each other, we would absolutely be friends.
I know. And are you in South Florida?
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm in Georgia. We're not that far away.
we're
I think
not.
we need to make a pact that we're
Yeah,
going to meet up.
we should meet in the middle.
I'm down for it.
Wouldn't be too bad. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the industry to start?
Well, a lot of people say they fall into the industry. I actually chose this. I was at the University of Georgia and it was time to pick a major. The major that I had chosen was not really panning out. I talked to my mom quite frequently and she said, Tinsley, but what are you actually going to do to make money? And I couldn't answer that question. And she said, well, here, I'm going to make it real simple for you. You better have a paying job the day you graduate. I don't care what you do, but you better have a job. So I luckily had enrolled in an elective, an insurance elective in the business school. You had to either choose real estate or insurance. I thought at one point I want to go to law school. So I know that insurance had a lot of legality to it. And so I checked that box. And my first week in the class, the professor, who was a total salesman, said, I know that you're here checking this box, everybody, but just know this 95% of the kids that are graduating from this risk management program have a job or an internship before they graduate. So, light bulb moment, one plus one equals
Uh-huh.
two. Called my mom, who is a creative. She's an interior designer. And I said, I'm changing my major. And she said, okay, great. What is it? I know what I want to do. I said, insurance. And she goes, oh my God, Tinsley, no, you are going to be so bored. You are a people person and you're social and all the things. And I was like, wait a minute, this is a people business. It's a people business. And so she said, okay. So about 3 months later, call her back. And I said, guess what? Guess who's got an internship fully paid with the world's largest insurance broker in San Francisco? And I already have a roommate who's a bulldog. And it was me. And she's like, wow. And so 25 years later, Ciara, I have never had a problem finding a job, finding a new opportunity, connecting with people. So I did not fall into this. I chose it. And I get really excited when I talk to other people about actually choosing this life.
I love that because yes, it's not common. I fell into it by accident, so it's definitely not common, and it's also not common to find people that even if they chose it, are this excited about it. So, what's your favorite part about working in the insurance industry?
So somebody gave me advice when I was probably 23. She was a seasoned account manager at an agency where I was working. And I was one of those high achieving people that always needed to know what the next step was, what's the next role. And I just plopped down in her cube and I don't remember what her name was. Maybe it was Susan, but I said, what do you have to do to succeed in this business? And she said, there's one thing that you have to have. And if you have this, doesn't matter where you're working, you will never go wrong. And you have to have a servant's heart. And so it's the people in this business. It's not the policies and the procedures and the money, although the money is good. The money can be great depending on what role you're in, but it is the people and the connections, and not just the people that you work with within your four walls of your office. It's the carriers, the underwriting partners. It is the clients, and then other vendors that you work with. It's the industry at large. I mean, when you think about the people that you run with, the people that I run with, the people that we're able to touch on our podcast or the books we write, it's just such a cool industry. And so, yeah, for me, at the end of the day, it's all about the people. And that
Yeah.
might be true of all industries, but I just think we're really special.
I don't know. I think insurance has a little bit of a more special. That's what I hear even from people adjacent to me that are in my local network, not in insurance here. They're just like, you guys seem so supportive of one another. Like there's competition, but there's a lot of collaboration. And I said there really is. At least in the independent agent side, I feel like that's the case. So I have a lot to talk to you about the work that you do, especially for women and your
Mhm.
G-force code. Tell me, let's start with that. What is that? What does that mean? What does it do?
When I think about, the 3 traits that have helped me get to where I was, it was never about brilliance, it was never about brains, it was always about sheer grit. And when I think about grit, I often think about my mom, who was that woman that said, "You better have a job." Small business owner, started a business as a recent divorced person and raised 2 daughters, from this interior design business that she started. She always had grit. So to me, that means if you have grit, you are adaptable. So you
Mhm.
ride the tide. You can move with the tide and you can kind of adapt to changes. You have self discipline. So it's getting up and showing up every single day. But then the third part of grit that I don't think a lot of people talk about, I talk about it a lot, is resilience. So if you just grit and you're head down and white knuckling all the time and you never take your foot off the brake to take stock of where how far you've come, to review your accomplishments, to just take a breather for that self-care, um you're going to burn out. And so I talk about resilience as the most beautiful element and most important element of grit. And as women, I think we're all pretty self-disciplined and I think we're pretty adaptable, but I think we stink at the resilience part because we don't put ourselves near the top of our to-do list at all. You're thinking about canceling your doctor's appointments, rescheduling, like, I'll do it again, and I did it to the detriment of my own health, and it ended me up in the emergency room. So, like, keep your doctor's appointments, keep your PTO, don't lose your PTO, block time on your calendar, protect your schedule, protect the schedule of your team. I have a no Friday team rule. Like, we do not do conference calls on my team on Fridays unless it's absolutely necessary. That's my planning day. That's their planning day. That's their gathering their thoughts day. So that's my take on grit. The second element of the G-force code is growth. And this was the hardest part for me when I was quote unquote promoted without an instruction manual. And you've seen this in the agency side. You've got a really awesome account manager. You want to make her a senior, he or she a senior account manager or a client executive. But they don't know how to go from being an individual contributor to an impactful leader, right? Because they've only been responsible for their work product. Their producers think they're amazing. Their clients think they're amazing. Their underwriters think they're amazing. And they play so nicely with every one of those people. But you put it into a situation where they need to delegate, like, I'm not going to do this proposal. I'm going to give it to Sally. And if Sally makes a mistake, I'm going to take it back and huff off. And or if she puts, if the certificate's incorrect, or she didn't put a period on something, or she named something wrong in the system. I've got this like delegation anxiety. And so I was that girl. I was like the workplace martyr who
Mhm.
didn't want her perfect reputation tarnished. And so I would just hold on to stuff. But then that meant wasn't growing these people who weren't necessarily my direct reports, but they were indirectly reports. And I think that's where our industry does a really bad job. Is it will get somebody trained up on the systems, but we don't give them any leadership training.
Mhm.
And that's where I was. So I actually had to stroke a check out of my own bank account, to the tune of about $2,500 to hire an executive coach to figure out why my team was not resonating, why I wasn't resonating. And she did a fantastic 360-degree review on me where my producers, my outside mentor, my husband, and in my indirect reports all got to weigh in on my leadership style. And what they came back with was, Tinsley, your team loves you, but you love them too hard. Like you protect them, but you're protecting yourself, and you have very low empathy. And I didn't really even understand what empathy was at the time. So to be told, number one, to be told I was bad at that made me feel bad.
Yeah.
Um, and felt like it was a kick in the gut, but it was also probably the most impactful career lesson I ever had. And once I got that right and learned that everybody on my team is not gonna do everything my way, and that's okay. And everybody on my team doesn't like to be communicated with the way I like to be communicated with. That was okay. And so I started to see more buy-in and better relationships and more fun when I learned how to tackle that emotional intelligence part of growth. I think that the other part of growth is just a continuous attitude of learning and development. You know that you're never going to know everything about our industry. So just learning every day, whether that's learning a coverage or you're learning statute, you're learning a policy and procedure, you're learning something about self-leadership. Um, that was really important. So that was the growth piece for me. And then the last part of this G-force code is gumption. And I don't know about you, but my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies is The Holiday. There's a line in this movie that talks about gumption and how women in the movies in the 30s and 40s, maybe it was the 40s, 50s, had gumption. They just had this courage and this unmistakable bravery. And so I think that's what more women in our industry need, is that strategic, courageous mindset to bet on themselves more and to color outside the lines of their job description, and to take more risks. I mean, we're in the risk management business, but taking calculated risk on yourself is not a bad thing, especially when you get to my age, close to 50. I'm taking more risks as far as writing more content and meeting more people and stepping on more stages. And it's a blast.
Okay, so I have so many questions. I was just making sure you were done. Are we done with gumption? Because I've got a
We're
bunch of
done.
questions.
We're done.
Okay,
That's
I
it.
agree.
That's the
I love
three
that.
G's.
I feel like that word is not used enough, and it sound the I don't know the exact definition of gumption, but it sounds like real deep. Like it comes like it's a feeling that comes like you just can't walk away from it. If you have gumption, it's just like in you. I love that.
Well, you can build it. It's like a courage muscle. You gotta build it, and it's different from guts, because a lot of people are like, "Well, I have guts." Guts is like jumping out of an
Right,
airplane
right.
that you've never done before, and maybe you've got a parachute on, but you're not sure if you know how to pull it. That's guts. Gumption is jumping out of an airplane tethered to a lifetime parachuting instructor. So you're taking a risk, but it's calculated.
Yeah.
So it's like courage and bravery mixed
Mhm.
together with strategy.
I love that. I love that. When you talk about the growth piece and that delegation piece, I feel like, um, and I can only speak from experience. It's hard for me, and I always assume it's because I'm not a mom, right? When you're a mom, I'm assuming that you control a lot, but then you also have to teach. There's an element of, and I also think I struggle with delegation, holding even my staff accountable because again, I don't practice with children all day like most parents do, right? You're raising children, you're setting examples, you're giving a little bit of flexibility, letting them see how they test, how they can handle the responsibility. If not, you discipline. Like that tug and pull of parenting, I think it translates pretty well to, having a team. So what if you have to help someone like me, right, with the delegation piece, like where do you start? What is a way where someone can get comfortable with delegating?
I would say, Ciara, what are you good at? What are you good at, and what do you like to do? And so I would try to start delegating to you things that I know you like to do and I know that you're good at, so that we have some quick wins. quick win, quick win, quick win. You're feeling good. You're building your confidence. Since I know you're good at it and I know you like it, there's still going to be oversight from me, but maybe it's not deep, 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 right? It's not like I'm going to have to recheck the policy right after you. Then I'm going to say, where do you feel not confident? Where do you need my help? And if you say it's contract review, I just don't even know where to start. When that contract lands in my inbox with that certificate request, I freak out. I feel like the clock is ticking and that I need to go get a legal certificate or a degree to go to law school to do this contract. And so I would say, okay, that's great. We're going to set some touch points on my calendar and we're going to understand like why reading a contract is important, why reading a certain point of the contract is super important, and what parts of the contract we're not going to go after because we are not attorneys. Like our responsibility is really kind of segmented to this section. So we're gonna understand the why. We're gonna meet several times. Then I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give you one. And maybe I give you one that I've already reviewed myself so I can
Mhm.
quickly go back and check it. And I'm going to see where you shined and maybe where you had areas of improvement. But then we're just going to keep doing it. And like, you get out your red pen just like your English teacher would and it's like constant. But what I see people do is they feel like delegation is really like dumping and I'm just going to dump on you and if you can't figure it out, that is not delegation. Like
No.
delegation is me teaching you the thing and then you trying the thing and then me checking the thing and then we just do that over and over and over. So that's how I would start with you. I would give you something that I could get a quick win to build your confidence and then we'd start moving into areas and it's a gift to me. If I delegate to you, I'm going to be able to go do something that I've never had time to do, like get a designation or finally go to that charity golf outing that I want to play in. So it is a gift. And once you start doing it, you're like, why didn't I do this before?
I love the way you explained it because it's so true. I'm guilty of that, right? This process of me calling it delegating, but it's just pushing it off my plate without checking in or making sure I even trained appropriately in order for them to give them the launching pad to succeed at the task I'm delegating. Otherwise, it is dumping. You're 100% right. I love this. That your explanation is perfect. It's perfect because it's giving you it's the roadmap of no, there's still, it's not just dropping it and moving on to your next task. There's a process even to delegating.
Yeah, you're not going to get that time back immediately. You're
Right.
making an investment in your future and their future, but the actual time commitment is heavy on the front end.
Right.
But then a gift on the back end, you are gonna get the time back, but it's not gonna be a fast return.
Now, with all of the women that you've coached, right? Higher achieving women, what do you see as the common trait amongst them as to why they're so successful?
Well, there's 2 things. They are ready to change.
Mm.
So they're like I was. They're fed up with whatever their life looks like, whatever their work life situation. They're fed up with something. Like they got to be to the point where they're like, I'm totally fed up with this, but I can't figure it out. And then they got to show me that they're going to do the work. Like, I'm gonna do a lot of work with you if I'm coaching you, and I'm gonna do a lot of homework about you to prep for our sessions, but you better come ready to work hard and you better do your assignment. So, I just finished coaching my first group of insurance women in Ghana, Africa.
Oh my gosh.
And there were 10 women and they were unbelievable. I had never done anything with women in the insurance industry in Africa. I'd done some coaching with some women in Africa previously, but I didn't realize that they have this amazing insurance industry and they're super innovative with the products they're designing to meet their needs. But we wrapped up and we had our closing session and we were laughing because they were laughing because they didn't realize like it was going to be such deep like soul work because it's not just like surface where you're just writing answers like, well, one time at work, da da da. Like, I want to go really deep into your soul and find out like what you really, really want and how hard you're willing to work to get there and like what your values are. So they were all we were chuckling because they made it sound like I was really working them hard, which I was, but I wanted them to feel it after they were done. So I would say the two things that you have to do is you have to be ready to change, and then you just have to be willing to roll up your sleeves and get there.
That's such a huge part too, because like writing the check for coaching or mentorship program, anything like that, like anybody can write the check, but it's really when the work comes in. And I always tell people, I mean, I'm not coaching anybody, but when people ask me, people that have known me prior, and they see this pivot in me, right? One of the reasons is because I'm a pretty good mentee. Like if I'm investing in myself financially to be in a program, I'm gonna do the program,
Yeah.
right? Because that's the point. Otherwise, what we all don't need to spend more money on coaching if we're not going to actually do what the outcome, right? What it takes to get to the other side of the problem. Tell me about the big bad monster, right? What are your feelings on imposter syndrome? Some people say it's
Mm.
good that you have it. It shows that you care. Other people think you never get over it. What is your opinion
I
on it?
think that eh, we all have it,
Mhm.
like even men, women,
Mhm.
whatever. I think that the people at the very top levels of their career, top levels of these insurance companies that we see, everybody's got it. I think it's something you have to manage. I don't think that it's a bad thing. I just think you need to know how to manage it. And so, what I'll do, and I did this with a group of ladies in the marketing world recently. We did like a lunch and learn, and it was called name and in parentheses fire your imposter, and it was a lot of fun. But the first thing that we do is we write down all the things that your imposter is saying to you, like when you're driving to work. What is it like? We have all these people in our car, nobody can see them, but I can hear them driving to work. Like, why do you think you can go speak on the stage? Like,
Mhm.
why do you think you can facilitate a training? Why do you think you can do a podcast? um, they're saying all these things. So we start writing all those down, and we plug them into chat, and we
Oh.
ask chat to give that thing a first, middle, and last name. So it's kind of like Debbie P. Downer, or they come up. Chat's going to come up with funny names, and some are funny, some are serious. Like some people will have like an old boss's name that'll be plugged in there. It's whoever's voice you're hearing, and is it a man's voice? Is it a woman's voice? Is it a child's voice? Is it your own
Mhm.
voice as a child? Like I was the kid that never got picked for the kickball team, one of those types of things. Um, and then once we've got the name, then we ask chat to take us a step further and to give us some counter affirmations. Like, well, Debbie Downer, maybe I haven't spoken to a group of 1,000 women before, but I speak to groups of 10 women 12 times a year, or I speak to, and so it doesn't matter. Like those people are coming to hear about something I've got to share. So once we get those counter affirmations, then we call the imposter out. Like, get out of my car, Debbie P. Downer. Like, you're getting off at the next stop. I've got people to help. And the most powerful thing that I'll say to people that have got imposter syndrome is, are you gonna let that imposter hold you back from sharing your gifts that you were sent here to give? Like, the chances of us being born and actually getting to this stage in life, it's pretty special, and I don't think any of us would be here if we didn't have something to give. So, don't let that imposter hold you back and hold back your gifts. Somebody needs you.
Mhm. That's such a good answer, and I think that it's so true. And one of the things I've recently, not recently, in this journey of owning this agency and being on stages, something I never thought I could do or even wanted to do. Honestly, I can't say that it's something that was on my list of accomplishments that I needed. Um, it's it puts some pressure on you from one side, right, of performance, but it really, really, really does squeeze you in a way that you become you're just refining yourself with every challenge that you overcome, and you don't listen to that imposter if it's bad, right? If I
Right.
think there's a level of it shows you care, right? You're not overly confident, maybe you're just confident enough. It's a level of being like, oh, this is important, I need to prepare so I don't fail. I love that. I'm on that side of it. I use it to maybe over prepare sometimes, but I think that having understanding for me personally, I've never really been a woo woo type person, and I there has been nothing that has become more clear to me on this journey than all of the things, all of the cliches that we've heard all of our life are true.
Mhm.
All of them. They're not woo woo. They're real. Like how you talk to yourself matters. All of those sayings that you see on Instagram captions, right? They are so true. 100% of them are true, especially the imposter syndrome ones. Like if you have it and you feel it, work harder to overcome it. Acknowledge it, but work harder. Like that layer of just these feelings that we have of ourselves, right? The things that we tell ourselves, the things that we believe of ourselves. It's it's not real.
And there's some neuroscience thing where when you wake up in the morning, it's like you have less than 60 seconds to decide who you're going to be that day. And like, are you going to let the scared little girl or scared little boy or whoever that's held you back a million times, who's going to win? Like when you put your feet on the floor that day, who gets to win? So I've got this little hack I do. It's on my iPhone. When I shut my alarm off, it's just one of those little customized reminders, and it says, get your butt up and go help a woman change her life. Like, I don't know who it's going to be. And I'm not saying she's going to like cure cancer that day, but she might submit her manuscript to somebody. She might
Mhm,
send an email to somebody that she's wanted to reach out to ask
mhm,
her to mentor her. Like, it's just something. Like, if I just help one woman or one person every day, I can lay down that night and say, I've done my job.
mhm. I love that, by the way. I first of all, I'm a big fan. I love everything about you. I just
I
think
love you.
I just think you're so positive, and there's your mission is so clear. Like it radiates off of you and what you do. And obviously we're connected on LinkedIn, and if you're not connected with her, you should be, because it is a dose of not just obviously positivity, but you're doing the work, which is refreshing to see, because a
Thank
lot
you.
of people, say they want to do the work, but the follow through sucks. But you're crushing it and you're doing the work. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've imposter syndrome, we've got the G force code covered. Tell us about your book. And you have a new one coming out, right?
Okay, so yeah, I do. So my first book was Grit, Growth, and Gumption for Women: Three Keys to Lead Yourself and Others with Confidence. And I had never written a book before. It was a little bit scary, but it was like a God thing, a 3 a.m. wake up. Like, I want you to take the lessons you've learned and put this into this book and share the system. So the book was so much fun, and it resonated with women that were young and old and men. My husband's in the insurance industry, and he's like, I need this. Like, everybody needs this. And then it spurred on the creation of the podcast by the same name. And I've got this amazing producer, Brett McKenzie, who is a fantastic producer. And she really took a chance on me and saw the vision. I was like, I don't have very much money to start this podcast. Like, here, take $5. But she just got it. Like, she has helped me, and she has help me and help craft me into this podcast person that I am, and help me choose guests and time guests and time messages. And so we had a blast with the first season, where we interviewed primarily insurance women that were doing really cool things. But then we got into this summer season where season one ended, and I said, Brett, I've come through a horrible journey as a female in perimenopause and menopause. And so I need to talk about it. And I'm going to use this podcast as a platform. And once I started talking about it, it's kind of having a moment right now. And so I found more women in our industry that were ready to talk about it, and outside of our industry. And then my healthcare squad wanted to come on and talk about it. And so as we're going through the summer of more season, it kind of kind of moved into the fall of more. So we just kept doing these episodes, and it was obvious to me that there's enough good stuff here to write another book. The second book, which I actually just put the finishing touches on this weekend, is Leading Through the Pause, a high achiever's guide to staying confident through menopause. And that's a mouthful. All my books seem to be a mouthful. But it's kind of a play on the word pause, but it is a pause. It's a woman that has gotten to a place in her career where she's got the experience, she's got the credibility, she's got the knowledge, and she's at a really pivotal point, right? Like maybe she's knocking on the C-suite door, or maybe she is getting ready to start her own business, but there is something going on in her body that's wearing her down. She can't gather her words. She is forgetting stuff. She is tired. The hot flash, like that's the quintessential tip off, right? She's not sleeping. So she's got brain fog, but she's also got anxiety. And so she feels like she's slipping. And the sad part is you've got the quiet quitting, you've got the quiet cracking. And
Mm.
I don't want people to look at this woman and say, well, we thought she could get here, but she's obviously kind of capped out. This is as far as smart as she is, as far as she can really go. Let's look at, somebody else that's 10 years younger, or if there's another gentleman in the running for this big job, like let's look at somebody else. I cannot let that happen on my watch. So when I wrote this book, I love an acronym. So you got the L, which is listening to the signals your body's been trying to send you that you've been too busy to listen to, and then educating yourself on how those signals and those signs are coming into the workplace with you. So if you're not sleeping, of course you're going to have that 3 p.m. crash.
Mhm.
Maybe don't schedule a meeting after 3 p.m.
Mhm.
So we're tying the listening and then the educating yourself on what's going on in your body and how you're showing up at work. And then the A is advocating for yourself. So it might be firing your healthcare provider. I had to do it. I had to fire her and hire some people that really got it. It's not my job to educate my
Mhm.
OBGYN on menopause care.
Mhm.
He or she should already have figured that out. And advocating for yourself at work, like what do your benefits packages look like for women in later years? Advocating for your team, like maybe there's somebody on your team that's struggling too. And then the D in lead is design. So designing your next best chapter. So once we get all of your physical stuff kind of figured out and we figure out how you're showing up at work, like I really want you to get that gumption and design this next chapter so that you're asking for more in midlife. And I have to give a shout out to my mom because we just celebrated her birthday this weekend. She's been the biggest champion of change for me in my life because every decade she's like fine wine. That girl just keeps getting better. She would always say, well, don't worry about your 30s. Your 30s are going to be great. Like I love my 30s. And then she turned 40 and same thing, and 50. So like I'm not scared of another decade. I'm like, bring it on. Like, what are we going to do? So this is the love letter to myself 4 or 5 years ago to say, hey girl, I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a bed of roses, but we can figure this out.
This is so important. I'm surrounded by so many women that are feeling this way and feeling so many things, and they do not get the help that they need. They don't. They first of all, it's a suffering in silence. They don't know who they can trust to talk to, especially in the workplace. Right? You don't want to be looked as like you said, like unequipped or can't handle an opportunity when really this is just a time period in our lives that uh we haven't been really educated on managing it by our I mean I don't know if you mean like your mom has given you the tools to navigate this, or she's just a champion, because my mom, when she went
She's
through, I
given
mean,
me some tools.
yeah,
Yeah.
my I feel like my mom never really, I mean, I remember her going through menopause. She's in her early 70s now, but I mean it wasn't a thing that it was like addressed.
No, you didn't talk about it, and
No.
I joke in the book, you're the traditional workforce was not created to 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 account for a woman's biology.
Hmm.
You think about when we entered the workforce, during World War II when all the men were kinda going off to war, you think those women, like, they barely had any help, like, with childcare. So, like, you think about how far we've come with like helping parents and working moms, and even like with benefits for dads, paternal leave. Like we figure that out. I feel like this is the last
Mhm.
frontier, like one of the last, and I think like even with mental health, I feel like we've come a really long way, especially since the pandemic in addressing some of those needs. But I feel like this is kind of like this one of these last frontiers that we need to talk about, and that it's okay to talk about, and it's certainly okay to bring men into this conversation because they're running some of these large companies, and they want these women. Think about it. They've been mentoring and sponsoring these women all along. They don't want these women to leave.
No. Yeah.
They're counting on them. So we have to help each other, and we have to educate each other, and we have to make it okay to talk about it.
Right. And the thing is that like you said, it's a thing, it's a thing of having a conversation and knowing ourselves to show up. And it's just a matter of flexibility, right?
Yeah.
Of knowing when to lean into certain aspects of the workday or the tasks at hand or performances that need to be met, and paying attention. I think it's like you said, I mean, it obviously starts with ourselves and learning, what we need and what we don't, and to then be able to bring it to, a workplace for some
So
support.
yeah, so that's the second book. I've definitely got a teen book in me since I'm raising a teen girl, a 17-year-old girl, and I'm about to be an empty nester. But the teen book will probably be a podcast season that turns into a book. I've already got a bunch of Ella's girlfriends that are like, we want to come on the
Oh, I
podcast. I
love that.
cannot wait for that because they educate me on all things. And they hold me accountable and call me out on things.
The fact that you have that age of a daughter, your daughter is going to know about perimenopause and these issues. She's going to know about it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like us growing up where we didn't know about it. So she's going to know the signs, what to listen for, what to look for, how to maneuver, all those things, right? So having this layer of having her around and her friends and having a season like that, and I mean, you're going to be alerting them of the next thing that's coming, which God knows what it's
Who
coming
knows
for
where it'll
them.
be.
But yeah, no, that's great. One last question for you. If you can go back to your younger self, what is a piece of advice that you would give her?
Stay true to who you are. And I know that sounds kind of cliche, but my mom and I were walking the other day where we were talking about taking personality tests. And, we've all taken them as part of a job process or whatever. I took one early on in my career, and the recruiter called me back and they were like, they loved you, Tinsley, but you did not come off as a service person. You came off as a producer. And are you sure you want this service job? And I thought to myself, well, yes, I really want this job and I don't want to be a producer. But I really didn't have anybody to talk to about being a producer, or especially back then, there weren't any female producers that I knew of. So I took the test again and made definitely pushed more of my service personality traits forward. But I wish I had had somebody to say, hey, this is telling you something. Like, I'm not saying I would have been the best producer of all time, but I think I owed it to myself to explore that part of my personality a little
Mhm,
bit more.
mhm.
So if I could go back, I'd be like, hey, maybe don't take that test again. Maybe go take some other tests that show like what kind of producer would you be? Or is it an insurance producer, or is it selling Mercedes Benz? I don't know.
Mhm.
So just like really stay true to who you are and the things that light you up.
I love that. I love that. I think this is a great place to end our conversation today. Tinsley, thank you so much for being here and being so open and genuine about everything. And tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm there every day almost. You can go to my website growthgumption.com. That's where I talk about my book and my upcoming book, my podcast, coaching, all the things. And Ciara, thank you. This was a slice of heaven.
It
And I
was so
can't wait
good to
for us
see
to
you
do this
again.
in person. I want to sit
I
with you in your
know.
chair and
I
do the
know.
Zoom.
We should. Listen, whenever you take a trip to South Florida, you let me know for sure and we'll make it happen.
That sounds awesome. Thanks so much for
Thank
having me.
you.